G'day viewers. One of those periodic firestorms erupted on Twitter today. If you missed it, congratulations. Maybe you have a life. But it really went crazy over something that I'm sure the person who was the focus of it, thought was really inconsequential. A woman by the name of Justine Sacco, who works for a rather large internet company. She works as a PR rep. Just before getting on a flight in London to go to Africa, tweeted, "Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white." Now, this is not a well-known person. This is not a major public figure. So first, I'm slightly surprised that it got out the way it did. It's not the first time, nobody got a tweet blown out to the whole world, but it always slightly surprises me when it happens. But for me, the central bit of this that just makes it different and special, as I said, she tweeted that just before getting on a plane. And then she was on a very long flight, and it all exploded while she was on the flight, where she would have had no idea what was going on. That must have been one of the more interesting arrivals at an airport, standing at baggage claim, switching your phone back on, 600 missed calls. What could that be about? Now, the overwhelming reaction to her was extreme outrage, and a lot of people going into full-on lynch mob mode. Because, yeah, understandably, a lot of people took that as horribly, horribly racist. Now, I personally looked at it and saw clueless, poorly thought out, and if your job is in PR and you're capable of saying something that stupid on a public forum, I'm not going to rush to have you represent me. But I mean, I know from people who think they're funny and simply aren't, and I honestly think the more likely side here is that this person was trying to use irony to draw attention to the fact that white people are so privileged they don't suffer the ravages that so many in Africa do. But it's a good lesson, people. If you're not funny, don't try and be, particularly not on a worldwide public forum, particularly not when you are employed in a role as a PR person, because none of that looks good for you. Look, there's the other possibility is she's just the worst person ever, right? She's a horrible shit, and she actually thinks it's funny to mock people, a country, a continent that has been ravaged by AIDS worse than pretty much anywhere else in the world. I think if you pause, hold back the outrage for a minute, and think about it, that's fairly unlikely. Not impossible, but fairly unlikely. And look, if she ends up losing her job over this, because her company has apparently gone pretty friggin' mental with denials about, that's horrible, that's awful, why would someone say that? That's not us. And, you know, she is supposedly in PR, and I would say, who the hell would trust someone to represent them who tweets something so clueless and so thoughtless? It's weird. That's what it gets down to me. I'm not going to go out and say she's a horrible, awful person, but it's weird to me that people can be so disconnected and not actually think through. I'm putting this out for literally the whole world to see if they want to. What's the worst thing that can happen? Believe it or not, when I say stuff in videos, when I put stuff on Twitter and whatnot, it's with full knowledge. Anyone could see this, okay? So if I find something that if I say something that you find offensive, congratulations, I don't fucking like you and your outlook, and I want to offend you, okay? I don't think I've ever backed away from anything. I've had really angry people. I've had people lose their shit at me. But you know what? I do stuff. I think about it first. I'm old-fashioned that way. I think, or at least try to. So yes, if I've ever come across as offensive to you, it's because I wanted to. So when somebody does this, apparently oblivious to what the fallout could be, I find it really hard to wrap my head around. But okay, this person's fucked up, but look on the bright side. People have a terribly short attention span. This will be forgotten about. You might lose your job, but broadly, people will forget about this pretty quickly. But I have a much bigger problem with the lynch mobs. Like, if a private citizen says something like that, and honestly, it's fairly innocuous. It's awful and thoughtless and very badly executed. But actual vicious, violent, racist abuse happens all the time. There have been a million worse incidences of racism on YouTube and on Twitter and on the internet and in the world. In the last 24 hours, so many worse things have happened. If you think working yourself up over something like this makes you a good person, I've got news for you. You're not. You're part of the fucking problem. Wake up. This lynch mob mentality is just sick and wrong. Okay? By all means, don't do business with someone who says something like that. By all means, if someone's fronting a TV show, I'll just choose a show name at random, like Duck Dynasty. If someone fronting a show says something that you find offensive, don't watch the show. Communicate to advertisers your displeasure and you will be unlikely to buy products that advertise on that person's show. That's you as an individual. But going in this full-on lynch mob mode, it achieves nothing. It's sick, it's wrong, and if you're indulging in it, you need to take a good, hard look at yourself.